how important is to create sister cities concept for smart and sustainable cities. We have our moderator, Mr. Tikender Panwar, former Mayor Shimla. May I request him to come up on the dais, please? The next speaker we have, distinguished speaker, Mr. Ravi Ranjan Guru, DDG, AIILSG. May I request you, sir? Mr. Junaid Azim Mattu, Mayor Srinagar Municipal. May I have you on the dais? And we have other speakers who are on the virtual. Dr. Bernadia, Ms. Hemanthi. Two of them will be on the virtual level. So I will request you to start the session.
Thank you so much. And as we all know, this is an important session, the session that speaks about sister cities. One city speaking to another city of a south speaking to another city in the southern hemisphere, cities of north speaking to the south, and we've had wonderful experiences even in the past. But before I delve to the subject and I ask my speakers, and it's a hybrid session as you all know, we'll have, and probably this is a new reality that we are facing after the pandemic. So before we go into this hybrid session of actual and virtual sessions that we're going to have, I think I personally must pay a tribute to Mr. PB. And I am sure most of you know Mr. Prem Bahel, who's the originator, mind, and the think tank behind Exhibition India, is no more with us. But I think we have had very fond memories, and this is the 6th session that we are having. And I've had the opportunity to be probably in the last 5 or 4 sessions. And so let this be a tribute, this session, this event to the memories of Mr. Prem Bahel, who always believed in diversity, and according to me, I think who always believed in 3 Ds. That's discussion, dissension, and derivation. That's how you derive. He never would press his foot upon and not allowing people to speak. So even if there is a dissenting view, even if the view comes in a completely dissenting forum, in a completely dissenting voice, he would actually listen to that. And I think that speaks about the diversity of Exhibition India. And I think while we pay tribute to Prem Bahel, also a lot of applause to his son, who is here amongst us in the audience, actually who have been able to bring back the old memories of Prem Bahel and probably a larger footfall to this Exhibition India. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, the loss is a loss. I mean, I have so many memories probably. And I was telling this to Mr. Bahel Jr., that your house is a treasure trove. I mean, you must actually, there should be another exhibition to what his house holds. I mean, all those who are interested into literature, art, I haven't seen El Pablo's signed statement that lies in his house. So, you know, your house is a treasure trove where probably you require another exhibition to show what Prem Bahel was up to and what were his states. And we can easily actually understand that. So having said that, I think it is my duty to move ahead and to speak about this subject. And as has already been explained, this topic, which is important, I think, I say, even if you forget about, the smart cities and why sister cities should speak about technological solutions, but I think the last year has taught us what is so important for us to understand and why it is so important to have these networks among cities. Though I was speaking to Guru, I mean, Guru will explain this entire concept, who is here with us, and I would like him to actually initiate this discussion. We do not have that concept still. I think it's still evolving in India, where Srinagar would be talking to another city, similar geographical terrain. I have just come from Ladakh. I mean, there we are working on livable Leh, finalizing the vision document of Leh, and then also speaking to Kargil. So probably mountain cities have a certain kind of unique geographical presence and probably unique kind of necessities, demands. So those cities speaking to other mountain cities, can we create such framework? Can we create such structures? Even if those structures are not created, are our cities empowered? So probably Junaid, who is the mayor of Srinagar and who actually studied from my town, from Shimla, I think he would be better placed. Oh, of course, I will also keep my remarks in the later session to speak about actually what are the limitations. But nevertheless, I think it is important for us to understand. Forget about smart cities right now, but during the pandemic, you know, how the cities have fared, were they empowered, or if they're not, then what are the reasons that we have, what are the lessons that we have to learn, and what could be the plausible reasons that we can work upon so that we can build this network. I know internationally there is UCLG, Bernadia would be speaking about that. So there is a sister city, I mean, there are two sister cities, Bremen and Pune speaks to each other. Both the cities talk to each other on technological issues, on many other issues, on heritage issues, for example. Bremen is also a very old city. But why are we not able to do that here in India? I think we really need to ponder over that. I didn't see the mayor of Shimla speaking during the pandemic to any other mountain city. Probably they had the larger potential to speak, but that did not happen. So let's go into those details. And so what I'm going to do is, we have exactly 1 hour for this session. And we have, I think, 5 speakers because one of the speakers is not turning up. So I divide it into 8 minutes, and probably I require a timekeeper here. So the moment the speaker touches 7, you just raise an alarm and let me know so that we just wind up in 8 minutes. So 5 8s are 40, and then the 20 minutes I want to keep for the audience and for some of the international people, because the other speakers would be online, so they would also be watching us, to have a Q&A so that we have more clearer thoughts about this process, so that we are able to actually engage with it more, furthermore in times to come. This whole concept of sister cities. I welcome you once again, and once again I pay my tribute to Prem Bahel, with whom I have had fond memories, though I was just like, I mean, I aged just like his son, but he always treated me like his friend, not even as a brother. So I mean, I don't have, I'm probably, this is not the forum where I should speak more on that, but yeah, I mean, we have had very fond memories, and it's definitely a tribute to Mr. Prem Bahel. So I think, Guru, you should take the stage and probably explain the concept of these sister cities and how relevant is it in the Indian context. And if there is some problem, where does the problem lie and where exactly it needs to be rectified? Guru, thank you.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. My name is Ravi Ranjan Guru, and I work with the All India Institute of Local Self-Government as a Deputy Director General. So first of all, I thanks to Exhibition India for including us as a partner on these programs. And we are very fortunate to be a part of this Smart Cities Expo since starting, I guess. I think it's every year we are part of this program. Thanks to our panelists for allowing me to speak on this concept. But before that, just to give you a background of what we are a very old organization. We are a 95 years old organization working across India. And if you look at the map of India, we are everywhere. All the states we are covering. We work with the Government of India's urban local bodies, state government. Our mandate is to support the urban local bodies across India, and also to support the state government and the central government on their various schemes, programs and activities. We are working with all the ministerial programs, whether smart cities, whether Swachh Bharat missions, or Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. We are a part of an international organization like UCLG aspect, and I think Bernadia is going to join. We are also part of the South Asian countries association also, where Hemanthi is also from Sri Lanka and Maldives people. Just to skip this, and I'll state because time is limited, so the whole idea of the sister cities, because what we felt during this pandemic also, and what we as urban local bodies required is to support each other, and the knowledge transfer is most important activities which we felt that it's really required at the cities level. And there are a lot of best practices. When we were covering during this pandemic situation, we saw that many cities has done an excellent work during this to handle this pandemic, and these can be transferred transferred to the other cities and the urban local bodies. And we played a very important role during this pandemic to showcase the what the Jodhpur has done it, or what the Pune city has done it, to the other global part of the network. And we and UCLG aspect always being together to work on those concepts. So the whole idea is to bring a synergy in a various areas, including the health and sanitations, educations, culture, sports, youth affairs, urban planning, disaster risk reduction, climate resilience, wastewater management, infrastructure, environment. The whole concept is to understanding within the cities, bringing the similar interest group within these cities together. So we are not saying that Mumbai can be a sister city with the Dehradun, because the same kind of the growth, same kind of economic cultural activities are important to bring together to transfer the knowledge. The main objective to establish the cooperation and create the mechanism for the holistic development. We're looking for the long-term association and the knowledge sharing to address the similar challenges faced by the cities. It's not only about the pandemic, but there are a lot of experience that the cities can really transfer to the other cities. And we have seen in 90 years of our journey, there are very good practices that the always a city has, and but due to the knowledge transfer issues, many cities is sometimes does not showcase their activities. So if we can bring this concept into the urban local bodies, then things maybe further move on. Mutual respect each other, equality, benefits within the partner cities, to undertake exchanges of best practices, knowledge, experience in the area which has mutual interest. I mean, obviously, for example, I'll show you some of the example also which is already happening in India, the sister city concept. There is mutual interest is most important. I mean, for example, the government of India and the Honorable Prime Minister has announced it. The Kyoto with the Varanasi is like a kind of a sister city that already is happening in India. And the cultural and mutual interest is most important, so that things can be transformed from the Kyoto to the Varanasi, and when we Varanasi to Kyoto, to energize the international friendship, cultural exchange, and the general international and intercity awareness programs, to facilitate a two-way relationship between the city's commerce and culture, thereby ensuring that the sister city relationship remain closely and it should be workable. I mean, there are, I mean, we cannot define the criteria overall, but I think we try to, some kind of give you a certain kind of a criteria which can be looked upon. So before obviously entering into the sister city kind of a concept within the urban local bodies, that they can look into the following criteria, like there exists a significant historical, cultural, social, demographic or geographical similarities. Like I say that hilly cities can be a sister city with the hilly city only. I mean, it's I'm not saying that it's not a workable model, but it's always good to have a same kind of geographical situation and the cultural. Otherwise, getting information it's easier, but you cannot implement those things. So it's always good to look into those concepts, that the prospective city is moving towards same pace of urbanization and the innovation. I mean, I'll have another example, like Hyderabad is a sister city with the Brisbane. What the both has the similarity and the common is that both are a technology-driven cities. Like Hyderabad also has like IT hub, and the Brisbane also into the same line. So that means there is a certain connect between these two cities, and then the exchange of information and knowledge will be more beneficial rather than just having a sister city concept. That the establishment of proposed relationship with the benefit specific strategic national or regional interest. Obviously, that's another important aspect. Sometimes it's like diplomacy also, and sometimes it's important to look into the overall regional perspective. That there exists significant community support for that proposed relationship. these are some of the examples that India already have. I talked about the Varanasi, Kyoto, New Delhi, Seoul, Hyderabad, Brisbane, and the Chennai and the Chongqing City, China. And there are overall more than 100 sister cities already existed in India, and things are, it's like an ongoing process. It's not just like you have done it and it's finished. It's always an ongoing process, because every time you will learn something from that cities to the other cities. So this is a continuous process. So I say that it is a work in progress kind of a concept. These sister cities and sister state partnership and the arrangement leverage investment, ideas of urbanizations, and also find market for the products and business of respective cities and states. That's an important component as well. Yeah, yeah. So I think my time is over, so I have last slides only. So this is the...
3 more minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. So just example I'm giving you, I mentioned about this Hyderabad and Brisbane sister city concept. If you look at both the cities, the common is that Brisbane is having emerged as a center of advanced technology, and the Hyderabad is also known for the IT, and we say that as Cyberabad. So that means that is a common things between these two cities, and I think when they are exchanging the information and the knowledge, might be the things will be beneficial for both the cities. Action points under this affiliations, which has already been drafted between these two cities, under the agreement, there is like a vocational training centers were planned to be opened with the trained faculty from Australia to fill the shortage of a skilled worker. Obviously, Hyderabad requires a lot of skilled workers for the IT programs. So this is a support that Brisbane is giving. Through this exchange, both the sites can focus on enhancing the people-to-people contact and also learning from each other's experience with the regard to the upkeep of historic sites. To carry out the cooperation in the field of education, culture, sports, youth affairs, urban planning. This is some of the components and the scope of work, I'll say that, when they have actually come together under the sister city concept. How AIILSG is helping, because I said that AIILSG is a very old organization working with the 95 years in this urban local bodies, the state government. We have a 54 regional center across India, and we are creating the ecosystem of mutual urban development. Building the connects between the cities, this has already been done. We are also, every 2 years, we organize a South Asian cities concept, which Exhibition India always a partner with us. And we always bring us cities like, I think both of the dais, speakers sitting on the dais, they were the part of our last Goa event. We are also sharing the city's best practices. We have the monthly magazine called Urban Update, which covers the best practices across the cities in India and sometimes internationally also, which circulated to each and every urban local bodies in India. So that kind of best practice sharing is already been happening within the AIILSG. It's a smart video. I don't know if it is this. So thank you so much. I think I'm here only. So if there is any questions, any still confusion, I can answer, and I would be very happy to answer your queries. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Guru. And may I know who's the next speaker online? Because I want the Mayor of Srinagar to speak in the end. But before that, I think just 2 remarks that I want to make to the presentation. Oh, Bernadia is there. Great. Bernadia, just wait for 2 minutes. Wait for my remark, okay? Yeah, great. Good to see you. So, Guru, that's a question that, I'm sure the audience will also ask, but that, really haunts my mind. It just struck my mind. I think this, for all of us also to understand, it's not that what we are doing is something very new. Actually, our forefathers have been doing it for centuries together, and that's what I was asking Junaid just now. Earlier the cities used to partner on trade. We had that barter system. For example, you come to my state, Himachal Pradesh, there's a famous fair called the Ravi fair. That's a trade between people and people, Rampur and Tibet, cities from Tibet. And this fair was like 1 month, okay? It would continue for 1 month, 15 days. Similarly, we had that connection between Lahore and Amritsar. So it was bounded by the geographical boundaries. You couldn't go beyond that. But I think in this digital revolution, that's a question to you. What we are seeking is knowledge partnership. What we are seeking is sister cities where knowledge becomes an important area. But I think one caution and one guard, and how do you really ensure, and Bernadia, that's for you also when you speak, not to commoditize knowledge. And actually, this is one of the caution, the moment it becomes, and it's a real threat, let me tell you, commoditization of knowledge means then there's a divide between the north and the south, and then there's a divide between the large or the richer and the poorer cities. How do we ensure, I think, I don't want to make answers and solutions here. I just want to make that provocation here so that our speakers address that, Junaid has to address that. But something what we are doing is not something very new. I mean, our forefathers have been doing it. That's the knowledge sharing, but that was more of geographical. It's more digital. So I think, how do we address that? Bernadia, are you ready there? We are very keen to hear you, by the way. Thank you. So I think if it's already been circulated, Bernadia Irawati is the Secretary General of UCLG, and we are glad to have her from Indonesia. What is the time there, Bernadia?
It's 6:15 p.m. now.
What is it? 6:15 p.m. So good evening to you, and please, you can start.
Yes, thank you very much. Namaste, very good afternoon. Of course, it would be nice if I could be there in physics, because I like Indian food, by the way. But thank you very much for inviting me. I think the topic is extremely interesting, because we will be sharing with you how magnificent the sister city or friendship city can bring about, because we have seen a lot of city changes make a big change through this friendship or good friendship relationship with other cities. Let me share with you, because I'm only given 10 minutes. I think Ravi has already shared with you what tips how to make good cooperation among local governments or cities, because in this world there are all kinds of collaboration or cooperation. You can call it sister city, you can call it friendship city, you can call it bilateral cooperation, or you can call it decentralized cooperation. All have the same meanings, but they have a different kind of magnitudes. For example, these days, local governments like to have multilateral cooperation, because if you have a sister city relations, normally you have on bilateral basis. And sometimes maybe, I don't know, in relationship, the relationship can be up and down, depending on the mayor, depending on the individuals who are working on it. So what I like to share with you, different kind of decentralized cooperations that can be in the form of multilateral cooperations through membership arrangements of the local governments association or local governments network. So in this slides, I don't know whether we can show the slides. Under this slide number 5, why local governments cooperation exists. And if you understand the history, this collaboration among local governments started 100 years ago, even before the countries were created, in some places. So why municipal cooperation exists? Because local governments want to find solution. They want to share and learn from others. They also want to gain access to information, and they sometimes want to go global and make multilateral contacts and relationship with others and be part of the global socio-economic environmental development. So in this slide here, there are a lot of local governments networks, and I'm here representing United Cities Local Government Asia Pacific. We are connecting more than 240,000 local governments and cities worldwide. So there are some local government associations that were set up on thematic scales. Like, for example, local government association that address only climate change, local government association that address historical cities. So there are so many local government associations in this world. So in this slide here, why we consider a relationship between local governments and global organizations like UCLG ASPAC is crucial, because we can also connect with central government, we can also connect with United Nations, regional association, as well as many other international organizations. So I have a lot of examples here, like how this twinning and partnerships among cities and local governments have brought fruits. A lot of already examples how Surabaya city was changed, and they managed to reduce their solid waste after they learned from other cities, like Chitakyusu in this case. So let me now, in conclusion, because I'm only given a few minutes left. So tips for successful cooperation with other local governments or local authorities. Of course, it will be best if you are part of these networks, because you can have a multilateral contacts, you can have a multilateral cooperation, not only between one-to-one cities or one-to-one local authorities. And tips for successful municipal cooperation is that you have to focus on results, number one, and you also have to have a mutual interest and respects, and also have a practical experience and know-how, because through this cooperation exchange, you manage to see that other cities can do better. So this could be a kind of leapfrog for you to be able to do better and not repeating the same maybe failures than other cities do. Yeah. So here you also focus on commitment, because sometimes if the mayors, have open mind, they understand the value of international cooperation. But there are also many mayors that do not value this kind of relationship. You also have to have a role of leadership, visionary leaders, and complementary resources and cost share concept, because if you want to be equal with your partners, you have to also put some resources on that. Yeah. And this will demand-driven activities based on the actual needs of cities, and to have a community participation at all stages of cooperation, because this is also one of the success of relationship or cooperation, because if you can engage different stakeholders, the impact will be huge.
Bernadia, we can't see your screen. We can't see your screen because you said...
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody said they will operate it there. I don't know why it's not there.
Is there a problem? Because...
But anyway...
okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, anyway, let me just conclude that there is a big impact on this collaboration. When we see almost 70% of local governments in this world, they have already collaboration with other cities, whatever forms they have. Yeah, could be friendship city, sister city, multilateral, bilateral cooperation, or decentralized cooperations. And with this technology, you can do it much easier, because now with the COVID, I think something that we learned together is that we now live in different kind of world. So, and we now familiar with Zoom, WebEx, whatever. I think this can accelerate actually the knowledge transfer. And I agree with you that knowledge, if it's transfer, but if it's not replicated or it's not used, it doesn't mean anything. It's only stuck in your head. So this is why I think the success of sister city relation or decentralized cooperation will be in the hands of those who are doing it. Yeah, and there are many developed cities from developed countries that are evaluating. They are evaluating whether their sister city collaboration or sister city cooperation brings something benefit for them, because they should not see that working with cities from developed countries should be seen as a barrier. No, there is a mutual collaboration, either in the form of trade, in the form of economic investment, anything. So, but the challenge now, we cannot measure it. We cannot measure it in monetary value of this international cooperation. This is why United Cities and Local Government Asia Pacific, we are now doing some kind of a study. How can we measure it? If we put this cost, what could be the benefits of international cooperation? So this is what we are doing it. So I'm going to stop here now, and I will be happy to answer the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernadia, and I am sure you will have to be here because there may be a few questions that the audience may raise, and so be online. And I don't want to sum up what she said because it will take more time, and I would keep those remarks reserved for the end. So I think I would now like to invite our next speaker, who is Miss Hemanthi, who is the CEO of the FSLGA Sri Lanka. So you can start, Miss Hemanthi. And if you have a screen to show, our logistics can be worked out. Yeah, please.
Can you hear me now?
We can. Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and greetings from Sri Lanka, Federation of Sri Lankan Local Government Authorities. I think, as Bernadia said, it's pity that we couldn't meet up this time physically, but thanks to the technology, somehow we managed to be in touch with you, even virtually. Coming back to the topic we have just discussed, all of the speakers before me have spoken about the relationship, international relationships and international cooperation in terms of the sister cities. But for Sri Lanka, I think being an island and a small country, when it comes to the sister cities, we have a very limited examples. For example, our city corporations are mainly based on cultural and heritage, kind of a partnership. For example, if you take Gaul, that has a sister city relationship with some Dutch cities, because they both, the Gaul has a very kind of a heritage legacy of Dutch invasion in Sri Lanka. So looking at a small country or an island like Sri Lanka, my viewpoint for the sister city concept is different. Now we were talking about the sustainable cities. What is the bottom line or underlying concept of sustainability? It is the socio-economic and environmental resilience to, the city should be sustained for these kind of fundamentals. So when it comes to sister city, if you take a city, there is the periphery, which is a peri-urban area, and I'm actually relating my example to the Sri Lankan concept. And then you get the periphery, and then the rural, villages connected to each other. So whatever that is happening in the center has an impact on the periphery and vice versa. In terms of sustainability, if you take if you really look at, if you don't look at what is happening in your next city, your sustainability is at a stake. So for me, when we talk about sister cities, what you always has to look at what is around you and try to connect and support. Like if you take a big city, first and foremost, before looking outside, look at what is around you and try to make the relationships, try to make partnership with your neighbors, because your sustainability depends on what is happening in the periphery. I mean, I appreciate very much the knowledge transfers from the the developed world, the learnings from the developed world, the trade cooperation from the developed world. I really appreciate it. But for me, what I always think is you have to look at your periphery, build that cooperation among the relationship among the cities around you to ensure the sustainability. Now, I mean, at this moment of time, now we are actually the only option we have is to connect virtually. We don't have that much of a trade cooperations. We don't have that much of knowledge transfers at this moment of time beyond our geographical limits. So what is important at this moment of time is your relationship with your neighbor, your knowledge transfers with your neighbor, your working partnership with your neighbor. So looking at the sustainable cities, sustainable cities and sister cities concept, for me, what I appreciate very much is make your sister city, first and foremost, look at your neighbor and build the relationship with your neighbor. Then, I mean, that will actually can have a ripple effect. If a major city can support underdeveloped or kind of economic deprived city, a neighbor city, that will have a better impact or much of a sustainable impact and immediate and quick results, because there will be a consistency of what you are doing and the relationship. So overall, that is the idea. I mean, I am thinking to myself, and I got this invitation. I was just thinking, we don't have much relationship like what Ravi and Bernadia said in terms of international cooperations, but we do have kind of experience of what I just explained. So from Sri Lanka, I would like to put forward this thought and share with you along. And if there's any questions, I would like to answer. And thank you very much once again for inviting us to partner with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hemanthi, and definitely I think you brought in altogether a new paradigm to this whole concept of sister city, what in India we call the peri-urbans. And we all are aware of the fact that actually peri-urbans are an important area, and if not addressed properly, can lead to a kind of colossal conflict, and not to mention the cities, but yeah, we all are witness to that. And I'm sure there will be questions, and please hang on with us there. And now, may I invite Mr. Eduardo Slaveiro, who is the Vice Mayor of Curitiba, Brazil, and we can imagine, it must be good morning to you. Yeah, Eduardo?
Morning.
Morning, you can start,
morning,
please.
Everyone.
Please, yeah.
Yes. Can I make my presentation now?
Yeah, sure.
Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good morning, everyone. I am Eduardo Pimentel, Vice Mayor of Curitiba. It's a really pleasure to participate of Smart City Expo India. I'm going to talk about sister cities and innovation in Curitiba. Curitiba is the capital of the Paraná state in south of Brazil. We are a city around that has 3.2 million inhabitants, including the metropolitan region. We have strategically located in the Mercosul region, close to Argentina and Paraguay. We are in the south of Brazil. Curitiba is a city of all peoples. Since it was foundation, Curitiba united different people and cultures. Immigrants from all over the world brought technological advances and innovation for our city. We are proud of this. Here we have people from all around the world. Curitiba is like a street that passes through many countries. We had Italian immigrants, Ukrainians, Africans, Arabic, Portuguese, Polish, and many others. We made immigration memorials here, parks and squares to pay tribute to these people. And today, our people goes to these parks and likes a lot. Curitiba has 15 sister cities around the world. The families of immigrations continued to friendships with their countries of origin. We used culture as a tool to build bridges here. We are proud of this as well. In Curitiba, all of our citizens are diplomats. We like to say this. They represent the city around the world. We cooperate with our sister cities all along the day and the year. In sports, with Columbus, an example. In tourism, with Orlando in America. In education, with Swan in Korea, for make an example for you. And many others. The city planted here the seed of innovation, and it persists to these days. We love innovation here in Curitiba. We want to make this one of the first things to do political public to our city. I'm gonna to say a little bit about this from now on. That is why Curitiba became a center for international cooperation, resulting in important Cuban solutions. We were elected for 4 times the capital of innovation in Brazil. This is a proud for us. For example, we have a close relationship with Volvo from Sweden. The BRT, that is our transport public way, it's now present in more than 250 cities around the world who became here in Curitiba and see how we did the transportation in buses with our BRT and take for your cities around the world, like Medellin in Colombia, here in South America. Like I said, this is our BRT, our bus, a little big one. We make more people with less time to make a point of another in the city. The Pinhão Valley. Pinhão is a fruit we have here in Curitiba, only in the south of Brazil, and we name it the Pinhão Valley, like a Sicily Valley. Here we have in Curitiba. In Curitiba, we see innovation in the past, in the present, and especially in the future. We want to make a city in the future, and we know that a city for the future, it's only a city of the future with innovation if the city makes the innovation become a real in our people, who makes our citizens more comfortable to live in our city. That is why we create the Pinhão Valley project. The Pinhão Valley is a program that creates an ecosystem of innovation in Curitiba. The project is a revolution in smart city policies in Curitiba and Brazil. That's why, how I said, Curitiba was elected 4 times the capital of innovation in Brazil. We activate sustainability innovation with the support of the C40 group, that's the forest cities around the world who are working the progress to new technologies, new energies in the world. And there are 3 cities in India, like Chennai, New Delhi, and Bengaluru, are also part of C40. Curitiba is considered the ecological capital of Brazil. This is as well, we have a really proud, because we in Curitiba, inside Brazil, we are known by the ecological capital of our country. We are pioneers in recycling and waste management. We have 33 parks and a high number of green areas per inhabitant. With the support of our international partners, we are making a solar revolution in Curitiba. This is also another thing that's proud us and make us a reference in innovation cities around the world in Brazil. We are building a solar pyramid in the old landfill that we have in Curitiba, that can you see in the picture. It was a old landfill that now, in partnership with our state of Paraná, we are building this pyramid solar that will make energy for half of our public buildings in Curitiba. For the first time, solar panels are being installed in public buildings, how I say. We have here in the City Hall, that's where I'm speaking with you, more than 400 panels, solar panels that make energy free for our main City Hall. We are also building micro hydroelectric engines to feed electricity to our parks. Nutritional health and food security is important for us. That is why we are developing urban farms in our city. From now, 66,000 families are benefited with this. What you can see in the picture, it's our little farms, urban farm that we make in the city. When the local community make the productions of this health food, and they benefit ourselves with this health food, and they consume this on these communities. This is really good.
Guru, can we extend it by 10 minutes?
We don't have here
No problem.
technology, we don't have internet here, but this is as well a smart city, because we make the community be together. This is really good. It's a proud for us as well. Curitiba is developing its largest environment and social project in the history of the city. It's the new district of Caximba. Here, the district is being built with the support of the French Agency of Development and C40 and other partners. There will be more than 1,000 social housing units with a total investment of more than $53 million. Here will be the most environmental and housing units, socials in the world. The most important project we have in Curitiba is this one, because we're gonna build more than 100 housing units for social people that need this. This is really good project. The COVID-19 pandemic was a major test for the world's smart cities. Here in Curitiba, it was not different. Despite all the difficulties, we create protocols and technology tools that were national highlights. A great example was the Saúde Já application, which allows citizens to schedule medical appointments without the need for face-to-face attendance. To date, more than 132,000 Curitibans have been vaccinated with the first dose of the vaccine against the new coronavirus. And I want to take this opportunity to leave my reference to the work of India in production and sending vaccines to Brazil. Thank you for that. I'm sure that a city is really only a smart city when it uses technology and innovation as tool for social transformation. Thank you very much for this time. I hope you'll see you soon here in our city of Curitiba. Thank you.
Thank you, Eduardo, and it was wonderful watching you and listening to your presentation, but I expect you stay back because there may be a few questions, especially, yeah, so let our last speaker finish off. But I think one of the takeaway points, which is something very important, especially for our Indian cities, and actually the new dimension that we are witnessing in urbanism is the new gated communities that we are witnessing, especially we know a few cities like Ahmedabad is completely gated. And there we have your city, which speaks about so many communities living decades and decades together, and the slogan that you've built bridges, not gaps. I think that's something very important as far as, when we speak of sister cities, it's more about people. It's not just about technology. Of course, technology is so important. Thank you, Eduardo, and I hope there are questions to you. Yeah, so, and there are many things, I think, there are many takeaways as well. So, may I now invite our last speaker, the Mayor of Senegal, one of the brightest mayors we have in the country. I have no, it's not that I'm saying in front of his face, but yeah. And when he sums up, because the challenges that we face, we are unlike what Brazil is. Because you could easily understand what Brazil Vice Mayor was saying. He could speak about, many domains, many facets of the city governance. That is something we are lacking in India. I mean, the mayor doesn't speak about water. The mayor can't speak about mobility. Maybe in a few cities, the mayor speaks about BRT, but rest it's. So I think if all that is summed up, probably Junaid is the best person to speak about, because they have been transformed from a state to a UT, the challenges and whatnot. I don't want to go into further detail. Junaid, please take the guys. And if I may extend the time by 10 more minutes, Guru, this is fine, because it's an interesting session going on for the Q&As.
An interesting session thus far, and I was delighted to hear about the experiences that we've all had, especially in the pandemic, evolving best practices and organic and inorganic relationships between organic and inorganic relationships that have evolved between various cities. Obviously, what was in the presentation was rudimentary stuff, so it's nothing that we can't do without. What I would really like to focus on is that the concept of sister cities is a concept that is based on both similarities of challenges and similarities of opportunities. So similar cities have both similar opportunities and similar challenges. And we've spoken about this in great detail. I will tell you what happened during the pandemic. The pandemic caught almost every municipal corporation in the country unawares, obviously. And there was absolutely no predetermined, pre-established mechanism or standard operating procedure to deal with the pandemic. So we all evolved, we hit the ground running. And I remember there was a time where the World Health Organization would come up with contradictory advisories every other week. 1 week they would advise public sterilization and sanitization, and the other week they would prohibit it. And that obviously had a trickle-down effect in how we as local self-governments dealt with the pandemic. And I remember when the pandemic hit us first, Srinagar was the first city in the country that went into a lockdown. And I remember when I called the General Council of the Srinagar Municipal Corporation and asked for their vote for initiating an unprecedented lockdown in the city, the first challenge was the bureaucracy. How do you make the bureaucracy understand that an urban local government can mediate, can discuss, can analyze the proportion of a challenge and take a befitting course of direction? So Srinagar was the first city which went into a lockdown during the pandemic. And I remember we evolved our practices. We created these sanitization tunnels. We did a lot of public sanitizations. We evolved mechanisms of how to sterilize and sanitize our hospitals and public health dispensaries. A couple of months, a month into the pandemic, we started getting questions and queries from the biggest municipal corporations in the country. I remember our mechanical wing of the Srinagar Municipal Corporation was approached by the Bombay Municipal Corporation. We started getting inquiries from the South Delhi Municipal Corporation, from the Chennai Municipal Corporations about sharing our best practices. And I would like to share with you that Srinagar Municipal Corporation was mentioned by the Honorable Prime Minister as an aspirational district in the way that we dealt with the pandemic, one of the top 10 in the country, which is, it's a humble but big achievement considering the fact that we were considered to be comparatively, revenue related and, expenditure related, a poorer municipal corporation. So the concept of sister cities, I have seen it evolve organically. I have seen it evolve organically during the pandemic. We shared practices with Jammu, which is right in the neighborhood. We received a lot of help from municipal corporation in Ahmedabad, which is far away. There are municipal corporations which are housed in industrial hubs, which can help you with technological innovations. Then there are municipal corporations which share your ecology and your environmental issues. Valleys have different issues than hill states. A city like Shimla, for example, has this big evolving challenge of water scarcity. And I remember a few years in the past, Shimla had to shut down for tourists officially and request tourists not to come to Shimla. We have different challenges probably of similar magnitude and proportion. A city with similar topography and geography, two cities with similar topography and geography can collaborate on a lot of aspects. Then demography also plays a huge role. What is your demographic composition as a city? What is your economic composition as a city? And most importantly, what we seldom talk about is where do you aspire to go 10 years down the line? Different cities can aspire for different futures. They can be similar in ecology, in environment, in demography, in all different vectors and aspects. But two different cities can aspire to be at two different places in the future. So Srinagar is and aspires to be a world-class, is a tourist city and aspires to be a world-class tourist city. The challenges that we have are how do we maintain the fine, delicate balance of preserving our ecology and preserving our heritage while we grow. We are an ordained smart city, and with the development of a city as a smart city, you have the added challenges of preserving your ecology and environment. So we are trying to collaborate with different cities which share our concerns and our challenges. Our climate is unique. I mean, if you kind of just box out Srinagar in terms of the climate that we have, then there are very limited options that we can have sister city partnerships with. But the key is to understand what is the future target of a city. Where does Srinagar aspire to be in the coming 10 years? And that is where you need to partner with cities which share your future goals. Not just your composition or your past or your ecology or your topography, but where you want to be 10 years or 15 years down the line. We have started working on a lot of initiatives in Srinagar. We're planting 5 lakh trees this year. We are also upgrading our primary schools as smart schools. The 74th Amendment to the Constitution of India has devolved a lot of public works departments and government departments to municipal corporations. While that has happened constitutionally and officially, the transition will be painfully slow. because that is the very nature of the tussle between local self-governance and bureaucracy. And I keep saying this. Most of the challenges that we face in the country will be won and will be not eradicated, but will be successfully met if we find a way to convince the bureaucracy to devolve power to the grassroots. So the contradiction in all municipal corporations, and this doesn't specifically relate to the sister cities concept, but specifically, more generally, all over the country, the concept of devolution of power is in so many ways diametrically opposite to a top-heavy bureaucracy, a generalized bureaucracy, which is not a technocracy by any stretch of the imagination. And I don't mean to brush bureaucracy in one stroke of the pen, but to assume that a city leader is an idiot who doesn't know what to do is the bane of this country. To presume that a city leader or a sarpanch or a Zilla Parishad leader needs to be guided and needs to be cajoled and needs to be enlightened by a bureaucrat is something that we need to get over. Two cities can partner with each other, but that partnership doesn't have to be between the bureaucracies of the two cities, because if that happens, that's of no avail. The people of the two cities have to partner with each other. And the people can't partner in any better way than through their elected representatives at the grassroots level. That is where partnerships can happen. It can happen even at the ward level, the tehsil level, the taluka level. And that is what this country needs, and that is what cities need to grow together, to understand that we have joint challenges. Bombay, for example, has nothing topographically or climate-wise or demographically common with the city of Srinagar, except the fact that the challenges that they face in city drainage are similar to what Srinagar faces in drainage. Because Srinagar is a bowl-shaped valley. It doesn't slope down. There is no natural drainage in Srinagar. Now Bombay faces the same problem. So Bombay has taken steps to come over its drainage issues. Srinagar can work with a city like Bombay to understand the latest innovations that they are implementing in the city drainage network. It's here? Sorry? Share it here? Yeah. Okay. Fine. So I'll take some more time. I'll request you for some more time because the presentation was lost, so that is not on my conscience.
5 minutes?
Right, 5 minutes. So sister cities concept is something that needs to evolve between the people of one city and the people of another city. If it happens between the officialdom of one city and the officialdom of two cities, it will be the purpose. I'll give you a quick presentation of the Srinagar Smart City Mission and our challenges and what we're actually planning to do this year. We have a total of 98 projects. 21 projects in Srinagar are ongoing. 23 projects have been completed. 14 projects are at the planning stage, and one of these 14 projects stands tendered for execution. These are some of the projects estimated at a cost of more than 100 CR. We are working on a lot of multi-level parking lots because we are facing city and traffic congestion. We are a valley, so that is a huge concern. We are working towards a 24/7 uninterrupted supply of water. We have introduced electric buses in Srinagar to ensure that our ecological concerns are taken care of. Srinagar is a city which is established on two ends of the Jhelum River. So we are also working on riverbank redevelopment, and we are also working on a lot of road redevelopment works. So this is just an overview of how the projects are funded. Most of the projects, if you are aware with the smart city funding mechanism, are convergence-based funds. So the central government spends a part of the funds, the state government and the city sends a part of the funds. Next. So those are the financials of the Srinagar Smart City fund allocation and expenditure till now. Next. These are the projects sector-wise that we are working on. We are also working on a lot of, and you would be interested to know this, on the core concept of urban mobility. So we are creating a lot of cycle tracks and pedestrian pathways in Srinagar. When you imagine Srinagar as a tourist city, you might not typically think of Srinagar facing mobility challenges, but we are facing enormous mobility challenges. We have nearly 500,000 light motor vehicles which are plying on the roads of Srinagar every single day. 500,000 vehicles in a city as small as Srinagar is a huge challenge. We're also working on heritage restoration and restoration of dilapidated heritage structures. I would also be very happy to share with you that we have undertaken a project to restore all dilapidated and burnt temples in the city of Srinagar, which were destroyed and damaged over the period of the political turmoil in the city. Next. We're also working on integrated data center management and advanced integrated traffic management system. So that is the tech part of our smart city mission. We are also working on an intelligent traffic light system which is integrated, and we are also partnering with different cities. So that again brings in the sister city concept. We are working with a lot of different cities to understand how their knowledge best practices can be implemented in the city of Srinagar. Next. So these are just, I'll not go point by point. I'll just tell you these are the things that we are working on in Srinagar, the staffing that we have. So we have tried in the last 2 years to understand that the concept of smart city has to revolve around technological innovations. And we are bringing those technological innovations to the ground in Srinagar. We are trying to develop Srinagar into a world-class tourist city, and also understand that our challenges of urbanization need to be met. We are trying to work with the municipal corporations of Pune, with the municipal corporations of Bombay, with the municipal corporation of Sikkim, and with the municipal corporation of Shimla, to try and understand how they are dealing with their challenges which are similar to ours, and to try and share our best practices and our knowledge and our data to understand if they can use that for better and effective governance in their respective cities. So the rest of the details in the PowerPoint presentation are again about our smart city mission. I'll not bore you with them. The core concept is that cities in the country need to partner together. And when I mean cities, the concept of urban local governance, and Guruji will kind of, agree with me, and so will obviously you, because you're so wedded to the cause, you're a former mayor. We need to empower urban local government institutions. We need to empower them at the planning and policy stages, not just, have them as ornaments of democracy. And I'll repeat it. Urban local governments have to be more than ornaments of democracy. That is what the 74th Amendment to the Constitution of India enshrines and tries to aim at. If change has to be effected in our cities, it has to come from local self-governments, local self-government institutions. It will not come from central, top-heavy mechanisms of governance. Thank you for the patient hearing.
Junaid, before you leave, who writes the ACR of your commissioner?
Sorry?
Who writes the ACR of your commissioner?
Well, nobody.
You answered everything. I don't know.
The commissioner has
I'll explain that later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll explain that to the audience. What does that mean in simpler terms? Well, thank you. I think it was a wonderful presentation from all our speakers. But I think there's one very pivotal point that Junaid has raised. And of course, I've been there for 5 years in city government. And this is what we were just talking about, Guru and I. I think one session should have been on the this disaster management plans and actually its effective implementation. We've seen the pandemic. You could see the PM, you could see the CM, and you could see the DM. That's the district magistrate. Nowhere in the country could you find the mayor. So mayor was completely absent. For the simple reason, because forget about the 74th constitutional amendment that Junaid was speaking about, even the city disaster management plan of actions, which is structural in the Disaster Management Act, have not been ratified. So it's completely, so I think we require a completely different session Guru, when we speak about empowering local governments, and I think Junaid has rightly pointed that out. So I think, and that's why I asked him, because ACR is a basic document. That's the confidential report of the commissioner. And if the mayor doesn't write the confidential report of the commissioner, then the commissioner is not answerable to the political. He is answerable either to another executive or to some other political authority. And that is actually where the city is turned into an adjunct instead of city in itself becoming a democratic institution itself. And I was one of the members of the National Task Force to review the 74th Constitutional Amendment. And by the way, let me tell you, Junaid, it's a disaster. I mean, it's not just, so I think we really need to revisit, rethink. And the smart cities that have come up, I don't want to dwell more on that, but it's like writing an obituary of the 74th Constitutional Amendment as far as governance is concerned. Because smart city governance further moves to the special purpose vehicles, and the SPVs are not answerable to the elected councils. So what does that mean? I mean, in simpler terms, it means that the SPVs are not answerable to the mayors. So I think for other cities, please, for heaven's sake, especially those who are watching from abroad, don't copy us, don't be our sister cities in this concept. So yeah, now the floor is open, and we have international speakers also, right from Brazil to Indonesia. Wow, what have you done, Guru? You've brought the entire continent, huh? And especially Belza. So it's wonderful. I've never experienced such a conference taking place. So quickly, I think we can take 4 or 5 questions. Please raise your hand, introduce yourself, and also to whom the question is addressed. So we'll have another 10-15 minutes. I hope our international speakers are also online so that they can hear it properly. And by the way, I will actually exercise my authority. Maybe 40% of the questions should come from the women. So just keep that in mind, yeah. Please.
My name is Abhishek. I'm the editor of Urban Update. So my question to you is to the speakers.
To anyone?
To all the speakers, it is a general question. Because when we talk about the sister cities concept, what we do, either the state government, like in the case of Delhi and Seoul partnership, the state government led the whole this movement. In the case of Varanasi and Kyoto, it was led by the central government. When Shinzo Abe came to Varanasi, then the Kyoto and Varanasi happened. So what is the role of urban local bodies? We are talking about the municipalities. How they are connecting with each other, and what platform we can give them to connect with global cities.
Great. So we'll take a couple of more questions so that the speakers can answer. This answer has to come either from Junaid or maybe Guru or maybe me later on when I sum up. So another one, please.
Thank you very much. I'm Harish Kumar from CSTV, Environment and Energy Issues and Youth. My point is that we are the facing of climate change at local level also. The question is how to make the cities ecologically sound. We have a smart city project, we have a solar city project, innovative project, vibrant project, or like that. So why not put an eco-city? Is a question to Mr. Mayor. Why not an eco-city? So many cities are there where they are ecologically sound. We not get any clean air, clean water, clean shelter, clean food. So how get the quality of life?
Okay, fine.
So there is a need of eco-city. What should be a paradigm shift on eco-city?
Fine.
I have a question to Mr. Mayor.
I think Junaid, because this is what Junaid pointed out, before we jump to other questions, let Junaid answer both these questions because before, we really forget what the questions are. Yeah. And then we can jump to the other questions that are raised.
Junaid, well, the first question.
But be quick, yeah.
The first question about how cities kind of work together and, how they evolve a joint mechanism. I'll go to the crux of your issue. Again, I'll go back to the fact that the cities have to be the nodes of planning and the nodes of disaster management. That's from where policy has to spread and evolve. It doesn't have to trickle down to a city. The concept of urban governance is a Western concept. We have adopted it. But the problem is we have imitated it, but we have not emulated it.
Yeah.
We have not ingrained it into our society. A DM, a district magistrate, is still more powerful than the mayor of a city. A mayor who is elected by 1.5 million people of a city is still less powerful than a district magistrate. And therein lies the problem, and therein lies the answer to your question. That's why central governments work with each other, because the cities have absolutely no planning locus standi. The second question, sir, about global warming and ecological challenges. I think we all need to be cognizant of the fact that we need to maintain our green cover, we need to maintain our ecological balances. You know, when the Vice Mayor from Curitiba was talking, you know, in his presentation, and I noted this down, there was this yardstick of green cover per individual, 64 point some yards, I think.
No, that's the kind of footprint, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying what the metric unit was. So things like that. One of the ideas that we are trying to implement in Srinagar is we are trying to plant one new tree for every soul of Srinagar. So we have a population of nearly 1.6 million. We are planning to plant 1.6 million trees. So we need to be cognizant of that, and the city governance is the best place to start.
Great. I think Bernadia can also answer the first question. Bernadia, are you there if you want to intervene? Because that's an interesting, as far as the Asia Pacific cities are concerned. Because I believe India, Pakistan, of course, Nepal has a different, they have 5, like we have the state list, union list, and the concurrent list, they have 5 lists, and quite empowered city governments. I'm not sure about our neighboring country. Bernadia, would you like to take that question?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Actually, the performance of local governments depends very much on the level of decentralization given to them. Because if you have clear mandates and understand what the responsibilities, you can make a good performance. I give you examples like every country in this world has a different level of decentralization. For example, managing a water supply is different authority. Managing solid is different authority. In the case of Indonesia, for example, we have very good decentralization level. So local governments can create their own company. They can also generate taxes. They can also generate municipal bonds. So this kind of authority, what we need.
Different thing.
So I hope you can continue advocating this important role of local governments over local bodies. And another thing about the questions related to the climate change, because we see always environment as isolation. It should not be in the case, because there is a co-benefit of doing environmental sustainability. We are pushing towards economic growth. We are pushing towards jobs, employment. We forget about these ecological transitions. We forget about the ecosystem planning that we want. But if your cities, if your regions are not planned according to the ecosystem ways or maybe ecological balance, your cities, maybe nobody get attracted to live in your cities anymore. Kitakyushu, for example, they experiment the same. Kitakyushu, the city in Japan, the same with other cities, Yokohama and other cities. They used to be one of the polluted cities in the world 40 years ago. But they managed to change it and now change into a clean environment. I think this is something that we want to see, and then maybe hopefully can motivate urban local bodies to change, and then you need maybe only 10 years to change, not 30 years or 40 years like what they did earlier. So this is what I mean by make sure that sister cities, friendship cities motivate local governments to do better. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we can have more questions. Let a woman come first. I said I'll use my authority to ensure that there is at least some gender balancing here. And nobody, I mean, of course, we had a woman speaking, but not on the dais. It's quite strange. Yeah.
So to all the speakers, my question is, can we have cluster of cities, like coastal cities and cities who have same ideas and initiatives, and then they exchange their ideas and many, like 10 cities or maybe 7 cities, and they exchange and tell each other about their success stories and they learn from each other.
Why can't they? Yeah, Guru?
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. I think, yes, we are, as the All India Institute of Local Self-Government, we are already trying to do that. And I think We have the magazine also called Urban Update. The whole idea of this magazine, 6 years back, we thought that we have been working with the urban local bodies in India almost 90 years, more than that. And we have seen that many cities, when we travel to the cities like maybe Kochi or maybe any other part of the India, always there is a best practices. But I think this knowledge of sharing is always a challenge, and with those concepts we started this urban update, and there is a lot of best practices already we cover every month. If you see those articles that talks about what the cities are doing, we have especially 1 or 2 pages which covers the news from India from the city's perspective. It's not a general a different kind of a journalism, I'll say that. I think we also do every 2 years the big conference called South Asian Cities Summit, and I think both of our speakers were there, and I think the speakers who are in online also. With that UCLG aspect, which Bernadia is here, and we through that also we always provide the best practices across the globe. So if you go to the UCLG website, there is always information into those things. Yes, it's a good idea, and that is what the whole concept, what we are talking today, is also in line with that. And it's always beneficial. I have seen Junaid ji is here, and when we started talking 2 years or maybe sometime back, they have engaged us as one of the organization who is supporting them for the solid waste management, and we are trying to bring all the best practices to the Srinagar. And just giving an example how that they have, obviously it's a credit goes to the city's officials also. But I remember, sir, if I'm wrong, please correct me, but I think your ranking was almost 340 2 years back, or maybe 2.5 years back. When they, last year, the ranking was now 37, when Swachh Sarvekshan ranking happened. And I think this year they're running in the top 10, I guess. So I think Mayor is here, credit goes to him.
Guru, don't go by ranking. I come from Shimla, it's the best ease of living, and I know what ease of living means.
This is one of the criteria, I'll say that, but it's always cities get benefit out of that, and we are here, and I think all we are together. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Anyway, yeah, please.
Okay, my name is Vaibhav, and I'm a director in Infineon Technologies. My question is basically the extension of the empowerment of the local bodies I'm talking about. So my thing is, beyond the local bodies, how are we empowering the citizens, right? We've had in the past 2 days, the programs have been fantastic, a lot of statistics, a lot of data, but I haven't seen a single slide or a single data point which says, a year ago I could get feedback or my outreach to citizens was X percentage, and today it has come here. So where is the citizen in this whole scheme of things that we've been talking about? Thank you.
I have actually parked that answer when I sum up. So I will address that, but I would also like Junaid to answer, because he is the serving mayor. I have already served. So I have my own experiences, and that also links to Mr. Behel, because when we do this exhibition next time, I think these nuances also have to be added. Participatory governance, it's not just the empowerment of the mayor; it's empowerment of the people and the citizens, and which is a very valid question. But Junaid, I think I would like you to respond.
A very short answer, not one you might possibly like. A citizen is empowered when he votes. The mayor is not an alien entity who passes an exam one fine day and gets to become the mayor of the city. He is elected by the people of the city for a term. And there are mechanisms to remove him if he doesn't work well. So the Constitution has already empowered the citizen in the grand scheme of things. When you empower the mayor of a city, when you empower the local elected councillors and corporators of the city, you are not empowering 70 or 80 individuals. You are empowering the millions of people who directly elected them.
Okay, so last question probably now. Guru, I think we wind up then. Yeah, please, if you want to just address that.
Yeah, so just to answer the last question also, this regarding the participation of the community and empowering them, we have started one of the programs 3 years back called Urban Dialogue, where we go to the particular cities We thought that a lot of conferences and event happens in these metro cities, but nobody wants to go to Raipur, nobody wants to go to the Agra and discuss with the elected representatives and the technology providers and the experts and also the citizen. I think that unfortunately last year was the pandemic, so we didn't do anything. But the last one was with the Raipur, and I think we have very good discussion with the Srinagar mayor also to have it in Srinagar also, where we really call the community, we really call the citizen. We announced it on the FM that this is urban dialogue is happening in your cities. Please join us, and there is a entire day discussion happens with the subject expert. The local leaders, we literally invite the starting from the MP, MLA to all the elected representative to please participate. It is your city's discussion, and you all can sit together and talk about, and the vision of your cities can be described. So we try, but yes, it's a continuous process. So we will be ensuring that in future also. Thank you.
So last question, and then I will actually wind up. Yeah, please.
Hi, my name is Piyush and I'm starting a startup to maintain public toilets. So I have a question, like if a citizen has some innovative solutions, so whom should he approach? Should he approach the mayor or that is my first question. And second, is there any platform to any website or any, like we have Startup India website to help the startup ecosystem or all the startups. So is there any website where all the smart cities, all the stakeholders can connect so that there will be a roadmap or a vision, a more clear cut thing?
Okay, great. Guru, you want to take? Yeah?
Okay, fortunately we are running two incubation center in India. One is in Gwalior and one is in Bilaspur. And we are right now hosting almost 25 startups in Gwalior with their ideas and helping them. We have a very nice setup. It's under the Smart City programs. And fortunately that the Government of India has a lot of emphasis on the startups. And they are creating a lot of incubation center in most of the smart cities. Right now there are 100 smart cities in India. So most of the smart city has received the grants or certain kind of a support to start the incubation centers. We are running two, just 2 years is almost done for the Gwalior in Madhya Pradesh, and one recently started with the Chhattisgarh. There are 4-5 more incubation centers where we are talking. So you can talk to or you can approach to the incubation center with your ideas. There is a website there. You can put your ideas. Then the team screening committee is there. The screening committee will select your ideas, and if your idea has been selected, there is a lot of support, like you will get the office space to sit and all kind of facilities to further enhance your product. So this is what I can say, that I am sure that most of the cities, mayor and commissioner, obviously they might have the certain kind of programs, but under the smart city this is happening. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll
Sure, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you all, the audience, our logistics experts, Exhibition India, all volunteers, and of course the All India Institute of Local Self-Government, and our speakers, Dr. Bernadia, Ms. Fatima, Ms. Hemanthi from Sri Lanka, Ravi, Ranjan, Guru, Eduardo, thanks for joining us from Brazil, and of course my dear friend Junaid, who comes from Srinagar. I don't want to add much to the point, just a few takeaways. I think what I said in the beginning, I think it is important that we have this concept of sister cities. How do we structure it? How do we develop it? I have no solutions, I have no answers, but I think the nuances have to be worked out, and maybe more engagement is required in that. But the questions that came were not more for the sister cities, were more for the functioning of the cities, how our cities are functioning. And I think they are very pertinent for the simple reason, the kind of environment that we are living in. And I go to your question, what you had raised, the participation of the citizens. the whole concept has to be revisited, and the whole concept of, you know, the model of governance between Raja and Praja. You know, some benevolent Raja would take a decision, and that's what we have to adopt. I think we have to just get rid of that. So the question of citizenry, how do we, after all, empowerment of the mayor is not the dead end, it is empowerment of the citizens. So we try to do something in Shimla, and you know, despite the 74th constitutional amendment, which mandates, one of the tools for participatory governance is ward sabhas, ward committees. Every damn decision to be taken in the city must be rooted through the ward sabha. That is the constitutional provision of our country as far as city governance and cities concerned. But name those cities who perform, not even maybe 5 or 6. So that's, I think, what we have to engage, Mr. Behel, when we speak about. So one of the awards, you know, when you decide these awards, one of the awards must constitute participatory governance awards. How innovative tools have been developed under the 74th constitutional umbrella and beyond that. What we did in Shimla is, and you won't believe, Junaid is there, I have already worked, one of the most formidable hindrance for citizens' participatory governance comes from none other than the elected representatives, that the councillor himself. We try to do that for the simple reason, because you know, you actually enter the arena of the councillor. The councillor prepares the plan for the ward, and if that plan has to be routed through a larger bunch of people, then you know, the councillor thinks the councillor is disempowered. So what do? We tried some experiments. We actually succeeded. Like we said, 10% of the total revenue collection that comes from the ward will go straight away to the ward committees. Now, Junaid, I think you will have to actually maybe innovatively imagine how you can do that. So 10% means if the revenue collection is some 10 crores, 1 crore goes straight away to the ward committee, and the ward committee is empowered. It's like, so, and ward committee, and then how do you engage with the citizens? You have wonderful system in the panchayats, but you do not have that system in the urban local bodies. That could be just one form. So once we start doing, and if we have those awards, probably we'll get more. That's first thing. The second thing, which I'm completely obfuscated and to which I'm extremely obsessed is about the fact, you know, actually our cities have become centers of expropriation of wealth. No problem with that. And to me, the lens that I view and the lens from which I view the cities is how do you democratize its surplus. So when Eduardo was saying about speaking about BRT, when we speak about 24/7 water, like what we are trying to do in Leh, we mean actually how do we actually provide services, and at the same time we provide meaningful services with a judicious value. When I say judicious value, any day, close my eyes, Delhi transport, Delhi water supply system, Delhi electricity system would be far better than the same provisions being provided in other cities. You get 20 kiloliters free. You get free ride women. So that's also an enhancement. So I think innovatively we have to see how do we democratize this surplus back to the citizens. Technology, yes, important, but that's just the mean. That's not the end. So how do we actually engage in this entire process? And why it's actually urban governance, utilities are public goods. These are public goods. And the moment we try to commoditize them, commercialize them, I think it's a serious matter. So for example, sanitation, for example, many other issues. So I think innovatively we have to reimagine the entire process of urban governance. And this brings me to what Junaid has been, so much concerned, because he's feeling the pinch. The whole question of, passing on this governance to the citizens. We were just making a joke. Imagine what has happened to Delhi just yesterday. If the elected legislature of Delhi is disempowered, can you imagine the cities in other parts of the country to be empowered? So I think we have to think out of the box and out of the lens. That's what I think is important. So and thank you once again. But Mr. Bell, I think so inclusive. Take for example migration. The last thing that I want to say. Migrants have built this world. Take my statement. Everywhere in the world, our migrants built large cities in different parts of Europe. Kashmiri migrants came to Shimla. They built Shimla. And I'm a migrant to Delhi. I just came 3 years ago. Probably you came 30 years ago. So all of us are migrants. What is it that is there for our migrant? We've seen most of these smart cities, 24 hours lockdown, and they were the first one to go back. These are not sustainable cities. These models, they are warning us. Actually, they are screaming at us that the models that you are implementing are not sustainable. So what to do? Except for maybe Kerala or to some extent Shimla, and Shimla too because of the J&K Kashmir government intervention long back 100 years ago. During the British rule, we had those labour hostels. In Kerala, we had those labour hostels. And 66% of your relief centers were run by few states, by NGOs. These are not sustainable models. So what do we do? I think, so we have to reimagine, reinvent our awards also. Which is the most inclusive city? See, Eduardo, I mean, he was boasting about, how many communities are living. Can we boast about that, the number of communities that we are living? I think that means sustainable, inclusive development. That is what we have to exchange, that is what we have to learn if we have to progress 15 years, 20 years down the line. 20 years down the line, I would like my children to be more inclusive, to be, of course, more affluent, but at the same time to be more democratic, to be more pleasant, not to be hostile. Actually, this hostile environment that we are building would be killing our cities, would be killing our people, and this is something we do not want. I think with that, I would like to end. Thank you so much, especially our guests from abroad. I know, this is an open hall, and you can't imagine so many people still sitting here. Can you imagine that? I never thought that people would. So, wonderful audience, wonderful speakers. Junaid, thank you so much. Guru and Mr. Behel, I think, thank you so much. It was a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Before I take this opportunity to thank the panelists, I would like to firstly apologize for the technical snags and for your presentation. On the other hand, I'm very happy that we were able to use technology to include panelists from different parts of the world. I said yesterday when we were starting this program, yesterday in the morning, that our aim is to get collaboration, to get dialogue, and to build better cities and to improve the lives of citizens. And I think that we've encapsulated that so beautifully with this session this evening. So thank you all so much. And Tikenderji, thank you so much also for your tribute at the start of this session. Thank you to all our panelists who joined us from overseas. Unfortunately, I don't have a memento that I can share with you, but I would like to share some mementos with the panelists on stage. And thank you to our audience for being with us till so late in the evening, and also for all of you who are joining us virtually. Thank you.
I would like to request Mr. Dhruv Vail, he is the Director, EI Group and Editor, AutoX, to give memento to Tikender Panwar. Junaid, okay. Junaid, Azim, Mattu, Mayor, Srinagar, Municipal Corporation. Wonderful presentation, wonderful place. We can't miss it. To Mr. Ravi Ranjan Guru, DDG, AIILSG, the backbone behind the conference. And of course, last but not the least, to Mr. Tikender Panwar, former Mayor Shimla. Thank you so much, sir. It was a lovely presentation and lovely moderation. Lovely moderator. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We end for today. We reassemble here. It switches back to again telecom tomorrow morning. This is Hall A. We'll meet you at 10 o'clock. Okay, so if you're here by 9:30, it will be very nice of you. Thank you and good night.